Once our spiny mole friend has successfully returned to his home back on Earth, he'll thank you for all your troubles. He doesn't give you any sort of reward, it's just for generosity. However, now the inaccessible gate that was blocked off originally is now open for you to explore. Now you can go around the robotic village of Rio Villa. The inhabitants are all machinery that mentioned once the present humans lived there, in something in town called the Emerald Core. The shop is located in the top left area and sells some much stronger equipment at a more affordable price. However, there's no extra useful items to buy, except maybe a stone-off tail or two. In the top center of the town, you'll find a warp point in exchange for a sugar store. In the top right of the town, you'll find an inn that costs 50 Vera. For progression of this area, you need to find the Emerald Core, which is located in the second house on the left side. However, you need a code to proceed. There's 6 codes and the random letters and numbers together. To find the right code, you head to the house next door and head up the elevator, and the robot nub will give you the right code order, which goes to the following as AB80, K305, CD82, 882Q, ZCBW, and PO1K. Once you head down, the elevator leads you to the Emerald Core, the computer with a weird humanoid face. The computer talks about robotics and their programming patterns and energy systems, and the concept of artificial gummies and how they can be recreated with crystallization. After reading it all, Mocha wants you to read through the program patterns a second time, and he avails a set of binary which reads out ASQ. Odd. Once we try to leave the location, Mocha will no longer be with us. His battery apparently has been depleted, so we have to go up to the Cajave ruins. We leave through the east exit and we find yet another warp point for our troubles. Then we can head up north to the top of the ruins, and now we can enter down to the lower floors. We find, oh my. So, Rogan slowly shows up behind us and explains what these things are. These are the people from the Expressive Civilization that once tried to gain access to the Light Planet, and their fates were getting them turned to gummies for fuel for the robots. Oh cool, that's not creepy in the slightest portions of mankind. But hey, our robot friend's working condition. Yay.
Before you leave the bottom floor of the ruins, there's 3 chests containing a putty pea on the right side, 2 red worms down below, and 5 blue frogs on the left side.
So now you could just leave out a normal exit, but there were 2 elevators, and once you go up to the left elevator, you'll be treated with a pod that contains... Ah, sweet! A robot made horrors beyond comprehension! This is the Gummy Girl optional boss fight. She is not mandatory for completion of the story, but she's a dark mage with only 3 attacks. Her main 2 attacks is going for a clinging attack, which you can reflect on right before she grabs you in her hands, and a second physical attack with a screen that can hit everyone for small damage. However, her signature move is a dark magic spell called Glamour Shot, where she spawns a hand from the ground which spawns a dark tornado that switches the party members around, curses you, and makes you lose your stat buffs. Definitely a strong attack, and it can severely damage your strategies, though it's quite rare for her to go for that move often. She mostly maintains to her regular physical attacks for the most part. As for strategies, I recommend the protagonist should just deal damage for the most part. As for Chai, Lassie, and Sorbet, all of which I suggest leaving in the back row, have them prioritize setting up buffs or barriers, changing the planets for fire and earth or healing. Though don't use Healing Wing immediately after Grandma Shot, because you'll get the curse status which will negate healing. Pico and Mocha should also just be damage sponges while also dealing heavy hits itself. As for Glamour Shot that switches up the party, don't bother switching the party around. Healing and additional damage is more important. If anything, can be difficult. This battle is pretty easy if you're a light mage doing powered up crystal lasers, but as a dark mage, it'll be quite challenging, even if your level is met. Not too uncommon if you want to fight this girl later at a higher level. After the fight, she'll drop a Sage String, which will boost EXP after battle, and then she'll drop the Access card, which you can go back to Rio Villa in the Emerald Core to learn about this innocent little girl who gets stuck on a planet with killer robots and killed violently. But you can learn more about that in this video. Haha, shameless plug. So after exiting the ruins and heading back to town, you'll notice that the place is being overrun by space police goons. You can choose to fight these guys over and over again for some easy experience, and they'll respawn once you enter and exit a building. For progression purposes, you head east to the ship's graveyard, of which I recommend getting the Earth planet aligned so you can find the rest of the secret chest there. If you head south toward the Sandy Falls, you'll find a secret chest that contains 5,000 Vera, and a regular chest that contains 300 Vera. Hugging the far end of the land, you'll find a secret chest that contains a Geigen brace. Going a little further, it contains a putty pea and a normal chest. Journeying to the top of the area will find you a mole tail and a secret chest, and finally progressing to the top right corner will find you 1800 Bira. There's no enemy encounters when walking around normally, but if you interact with the gummy wormholes, you'll find some foes. First of which is the Wander Ranger. These guys are recolor the Boomer Ranger back on Gren, so they always in the back row and fire 2 boomerangs to hit the opponent 2 times. Very simple. The next enemy is the Bagon, another recolor, this time being Kabong back on Raisin. They have high defense and only 1 attack and a fast crushing move. Very simple. Finally, we have the Wood Warrior. Contrary to their name, they're actually earth elements, and they have a very small and have 1 attack, a very quick leaping slash. They don't have much HP, so they're painfully easy to take out. All these enemies are incredibly easy to miss. For progression purposes, there are 3 Space Police troops we have to fight. These are going to be the standard Space Police we are going to fight for the remainder of the adventure. These guys have 3 attacks. Stompy Feet, which can be easily blocked, a Punishing Beam that can also be blocked and may make you dizzy, and if you're in the back row, they'll throw a Punishing Bomb which can hit everyone. These baddies are instantly recolors of the policeman foes that we fought back in the Shikobob Caverns, except with higher HP. They aren't too hard to take out, even when they're higher level than you. After that mess, you can head north to find more gummy wormholes, 2 tails for reviving and shaking off being petrified, and a secret chest contains an aqua tailwind. Before heading fully north, where there's a port point right to the left if you want. Finally, you'll encounter the terrifying threat that is Mangus Muzzle Flash, and then he proceeds to miss every single shot. Truly a marksman of his own craft. After he leaves, Mocha freaks out and is able to hack the door open, which contains a flying machine. And to make it fly, well, Lassie can obviously help you out with that. And yeah, with some ugly 30 FPS cutscene. Neat. Once we land on the Titan's back, we are greeted with the smallest cube around, the Pyrites. And by the lord, these are the best characters due to their names alone. We have such classes as, what's the matter with ya? What you staring at? You're the boss of me. And my personal visit, how's about a latte? This game is phenomenal. But now we enter the dungeon of the Stone Giant, which we have lots of enemies to cover. First of which is the Scorchberry. These are, of course, the traditional, these guys are bastards of the route. They're fast and no celestial swap, of which they'll swap the fire planet and proceed to start spamming heat on you. It doesn't do too much damage even when powered up, but it can get really annoying. The second and last fire baddie is the Moss Worm. They're not worms, they're weird looking hyena things. They're the fast enemies in the dungeon with 2 very simple cleaving and slashing attacks. These guys do some decent damage if you aren't too careful, so always keep a sharp eye out for these guys. Then we have the amazingly named Weed Devil, a very rare enemy found in the later parts of the dungeon, a recolor of the Sheep Devil back on Gren. These guys also have a deadly cross-shot move. They also know Celestial Swap, then the Wood Planet getting a line. And finally, they have a Briar Patch, a very deadly foe that drops a pretty good item too. Of course, what's an Earth dungeon without the Earth enemies? Starting with the Smiley Leech. These small creatures aren't as frustrating as previous enemies, but they are weird. They have by far the best name for an attack called Deja Vu, which they teleport in front of you and just kiss you violently. They aren't anything too special though. We also have the Pegmafly. These guys are recolors of the Antisopera enemies back on Buffoon. They have the same moves of dive bombing and doing 6 somersaults straight at you. The 3 big differences are they're Earth Mages, they have less HP, but a higher spirit and defense stat, so be careful of that. Then we have the Clodling, Dirtling, and Dustling. These 3 enemies are in the same species, but also a very interesting enemy type. They only have 1 attack and a wink that can get quite a deadly cart to you. But if you do a single hit of damage, the Clodling will divide into 2 Dirtlings. They have the same attack, but with significantly less HP. If you aren't able to take them out, then they'll cell divide again into the last state of the Dustling, which they'll also have a wink attack, but in the back row specifically, they have Growl Pounder, so be careful against them. It's almost impossible to get the Clodlings to drop their item due to having 9,000 HP, but you definitely need the other 2 to drop. Which finally leads us into the Elder Dragon. This weird looking powerhouse is deceptively fast, having a swallow hold to chomp you close and a hard yell attack which only targets the front row. However, they're usually paired with the Clodlings, and if they divide into Dustlings, the Elder Dragon will devour the Dustlings and not only heal himself, but get stronger too. So be wary of that one. We have lots of treasure to collect, starting with the Pyrites themselves. They're actually equipment that you can wear. Okay, strange, but hey, pick up every single one of them. There's 30 in total. Next, inside the tunnel, you'll head to the right side and head down. You'll see a pirate that's the shop. It only sells 3 things, but it's also a good place to get green frogs. For regression, on the map, you'll see a little crevice that's just barely peeking out. If you actually buy something from the shop, he'll tell you exactly where the location is for the secret entrance. So go in there and knock down that wall. Inside, you'll find many twisted turns and spins inside the organs of the giant. Heading south, you'll find 2 pirates to collect, and at the very end, the chest contains 5,200 bira. Heading fully north in the entrance, you'll find another pirate in a chest that contains 5 melon jams. Fully north, you'll find 2 more pirates and 5 nut spreads. Heading to the far east in the middle will net you a pyrite and a clock whistle from the chest. The last pyrite can be found in the top room and the close to the room's exit. Inside the next chamber, a whole load of chests and goodies. Inside you'll find 2 putty peas, 2 chests containing 1,200 bira and 3,200 bira respectively, 3 thunder bombs, 1 berry jam, and an ice cube. All very nice. The reason I say to collect everything here is because this area will remain inaccessible after beating the boss and obtaining the Millennium Gummy, so try to get all the treasure. As for the enemies, try to find them all too, but don't worry if you can't find them, they'll show up later. We'll get to that. Finally, we escalate to the top of the ladder and find the giant's heart chamber and talk to the weird orange glowing heart-to-talk detectives. He claims to be one of the last remaining stone giants in the universe, and if you talk to Shallot the Brownie and use one of your available magic in your party, you'll proceed to hear giant tremors from the inane gunman breaking the body down. So head outside and fight the legend of Mangus Muzzle Flash! The once captive former space police admin, Mangus Muzzle Flash, can be a tough challenge for those who are unprepared for the fight ahead. His main draw of his palms is how powerful each attack can be, capable of doing at least half of your health minimum, and KOing you into 1 and 2 hits, even when reflex guarding. A critical hit can easily knock you out, even with your strongest tank. He also seemingly has a rare chance to counterattack, with even a solid strongly attack. This even applies in the back row, so always be ready to reflex guard. His other standard attack is Blood Rage, which can be quite powerful and fast too, even when it constant barrages of the move. He also has magic. Not even having Celestial Swap, he just wants murder. His exclusive move is Blazing Cannon, hitting one of the party members with Force 1 Blast and firing full force onto your body, having a high chance to be scorched. He also has Heat Fondue, but he only seems to use it when the fire plant is powered up. So be careful, he can hit everyone in this group for some great damage. So, strategies. He's obviously fire, right? So you should put Sorbet in the front, right? Wrong. Sorbet is too frail to take major damage. Plus, if you have water applying on line, you'll still be doing the max damage possible, possibly around 5,000 damage per hit. Shine is mostly on healing and defensive duty. Set up a Misty Freshness or a Parsley Wall to lessen the high damage, then use Worms or Frogs for additional support, or Celestial Swap for plan alignment, and at worst case scenario, start using Bombs. Let she always be at the level where she has Mother's Nest, a move that heals your group progressively after every turn. Then pop Healing Wing when things get a little too dicey. Everyone else should just be going for the highest damaging spell. If Ling is a light mage, I recommend staying in the back row due to doing additional support with Healing Light, and Dark should be in the front row with the highest damage possible. With all those strategies, the battle should be a cakewalk. After around 20,000 damage dealt, he falls and drops the loincloth equipment, and he still isn't done. He wants to ram the whole giant down. Tectos decided there's not enough death in this episode, so go to the very edge and use Woka's Earth Magic to power him up and send Mangus and him straight to the Shadow Realm. Yikes. That's brutal. But cool looking. Afterwards, head inside in the Heart Chamber and obtain the Earth Millennium Gummy. After that, you'll safely be returned to the mainland with Shallot, but the warp point is gone, so you can't return back there. There's nothing more to do to the planet, so head back to the last... Oh wait, phone call. Oh wait, it's a message from Bree. She said the plot is now in Buffoon, so let's go over there. Of course, this episode would not be complete without the new egg character being introduced. This time, we have Kerr. This funky little robot dude is one of 7 different egg characters they can be obtained by tagging another player in another copy of Starsign. You'll get a random egg if you pull from either 1, 15, 30, or 60 tags, or if you didn't get them, gamble on Grand Low to see if you're receiving one. With Kerr being an Earth Mage, you got some neat stuff to him. Its skill is called Open Up, which can give a random stat effect from Dizziness to Scorching to even Petrification. Its 2 magic moves are Belling Rock and Stout Edge, which has a chance to either petrify or lower the defense of the enemy. Finally, its out of battle ability is going to an HP pot and giving you a blue frog if you have less than 5, similar to Pistachio and Magicalvacation. Overall, this one's really useful, interesting gimmicks, but not an overall hindrance its strategy might have. I recommend getting this one, if this is your first pull.